So the Walter Cup has been presented, the champagne has been sprayed, but it's already time to look at the next faces of the PWHL. Draft preview coming up on Hockey North. Rob Pizzo, Karissa Donkin back with you. And yes, Karissa, the hockey is all done, but no rest for the wicked. We've got the draft coming right up. So we're going to break this thing down. But before we do, I do have one financial question I wanted to ask you. You know more about this league than anybody. The GMs, that window now for them to re-sign players is officially open. So in the days leading up to this draft, is it going to be a busy news day for people like you and me?
Yeah, I mean, I think we could see some announcements this week. In fact, Ottawa GM Mike Hirschfeld actually hinted at that they've got some re-signings coming. So I wouldn't be surprised, Rob, to see some of that start to come out. I mean, if a player knows that they want to stay, the GM wants them back. I mean, it's really just kind of waiting for this time to come so they could actually, be offered a contract. So wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of news on that front this week because there are so many players in the league who are on one-year contracts and are looking to potentially re-sign.
So a lot of players signing on the dotted line and a lot of players at the draft anticipating that day because they have no idea where they're going to go. And anytime you have a draft, you got to do mock drafts. And we got Karissa to do a mock draft, at least for the first round. So we're going to put that up on the screen. And of course, all eyes, Karissa, go to the top, the number one pick. No shocker here, Sarah Fillier. Just answer this very basic question. Just how good is she? What kind of immediate impact is she going to make on this New York team?
Well, Rob, I've always been very humbled whenever I've made a mock draft, but I'm pretty certain in the first overall pick this year, I think it's going to be Sarah Fillier. I mean, she's somebody who's going to come in and contribute right away to New York. She can slot in as their second line center behind Alex Carpenter, or she can play on the wing on that top line with Alex Carpenter. We saw her playing on the wing at Princeton University and with Team Canada this year. So she's somebody who has a hockey IQ that's off the charts. She has great hands. She's found a way to score at every level that she's played at, including with Team Canada, where she was the MVP, of the World Championship in 2023. And talking to her coach at Princeton University, she said she's somebody who's going to do best in a situation where she can come in and kind of fly under the radar. And I think it's a perfect place for her to do that in New York. I mean, coming in, kind of playing behind Alex Carpenter, having those two players split up on two lines, I think that's pretty scary for other teams to try to match up with.
Yeah, we hear about Sarah, and we've been talking about her all year, the generational talent. Everyone knew, coming in, she's the projected number one overall pick. And anytime you've got someone like that, everyone kind of bases the whole draft around that player. So I want to know, give me someone else. Give me a dark horse that maybe even, later than the first round could come in and make an immediate impact on a team that maybe we're not talking about enough.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you'd say she's a dark horse per se, because I think she's going to go really early in the first round, but we can talk about Danielle Serdachny. Obviously, she scored that golden goal at the World Championship, back in the spring, but she's somebody who has great size. She's a great skater, and I think she's going to come in and contribute right away, whether that's on Ottawa, playing alongside somebody like Brianne Jenner or Gabby Hughes, or maybe she goes to Minnesota and she gets to play with a player like Taylor Heisey, who we all know what she can do. So Danielle Serdachny, I think she's somebody who you don't maybe hear about her as much as a Sarah Fillier. I mean, she played in the fourth line. I think a really good fourth line on Team Canada at the World Championship. But she's got a lot of confidence. I mean, if we go back to the rivalry series in 2022, when she made her Team Canada debut, she goes into overtime and she goes to the net beside Marie-Philippe Poulin, and she takes the shot and, ultimately scores and wins the game. But there aren't too many people who have the confidence to go to the net with Marie-Philippe Poulin and take the shot themselves. So I think she's going to have no problem acclimating to this league.
Okay, so that's your dark horse, but I got to ask you, this is the way into the league for European players or maybe players that didn't play in the inaugural season. So is there anyone there we should keep our eye on?
Yeah, I mean, talking about players who didn't play in the inaugural season, I mean, you have to talk about Claire Thompson, who, set a record at the last Olympics for, points by a defender. Maybe you'll see her in the first round be reunited with her Team Canada defense partner in Erin Ambrose. I mean, she's somebody who I think could be a big star in this league. We saw Amanda Kessel declare for the draft. That's somebody we haven't seen play a whole lot over the last couple of years, but obviously has a lot of skill and has done quite a bit for Team USA. But when we're talking about European players, Rob, one name I'll mention who people maybe aren't as familiar with in North America is Ronja Savalainen. So she is a longtime defender for the Finnish national team. She's been playing in the Swedish Women's Hockey League for the last 8 years, and she has really good size. She can also move the puck well from the blue line, and I think that she's someone who's going to come in and play on a top pair right away. I was talking to her back in April just about the physicality of the league, and they do allow hitting in the Swedish Women's Hockey League as well, but she said, it's a bigger ice surface, so she's really looking forward to seeing how the physicality impacts the game a lot more on the smaller ice surface. And she said, when I go out on the ice, I don't really think about hitting, but because of my size, it kind of just happens naturally. So that's kind of a fun player to be able to add to your lineup. I don't think you'll find a head coach across the league that wouldn't love to have a player like that on their blue line. So I think you'll see her go pretty early.
The first ever PWHL draft was all about, the history and starting this new league. Well, 1 year is in the books now, and I'm wondering if we're going to see some deals being made. Maybe not necessarily franchise-altering deals, but could we see some trades that we didn't see coming?
Yeah, I mean, how exciting would that be to see Jana Hefford go up to the podium and say, we have a trade to announce, right? I mean, that would be such a cool moment. Obviously, we haven't seen a ton of trades in the PWHL yet, and that's just because, during the season, they couldn't trade draft picks, so it was kind of player in, player out, and talking to GMs, I think it did limit the possibilities a little bit, though we did see a couple of trades. So I wouldn't be surprised to see, now that teams can trade draft picks, to be kind of moving up or down in the draft. I don't think we'll see, like you said, Rob, those kind of big franchise altering trades at the draft, because I think rosters are in a lot of flux for teams right now. There are a lot of talented players available in the draft that could kind of, change the look of their roster. There are a lot of players on one-year deals. So I think teams are going to want to kind of see, what things look like after the draft when we're talking about those sort of bigger trades. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see, a little bit of movement at the draft, which would be fun, right? I think it would be fun too.
Can't believe we're already talking about next year and the future of this league. Be sure to subscribe to CBC Sports' YouTube page for even more PWHL action. We'll be back after the draft to break down everything we just said. And trust me, Karissa, you're not going to be humbled. You've got the #1 pick, right? We'll see you next week.
Here's hoping. Thanks.